It says the motivation of a life of humility is the example of Jesus Christ's humble life and sacrificial death on the cross. So that's the motivation of a life of humility, is the example of Jesus' humble life and his sacrificial death on the cross. The Bible tells us that Jesus, who was very involved in the act of creation, is also involved in the act of sustaining creation. Colossians 1:17 says, he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And Hebrews 1:3, Josh, you have Hebrews 1:3, right?
Who being the brightness of his glory, and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high.
Man, that's awesome. And the piece that that Matt kept here says he upholds the universe by the word of his power. Just kind of confirming, like, he not only created all things, but he holds all things together. When the Romans arrest Jesus, they grab him with hands that he not only created, but was at the time sustaining. In essence, the power they use to grab him comes from him. With muscles that he powers, they stretch out their hands. They stretch their hands back and slap his face. They use the glands that he controls to work up the saliva to spit on him. They nail him with metal that he created to a tree that he spoke into existence. And he is able to stop it at any moment. It says, do you remember when Peter pulls the sword and cuts off the ear of one of the men arresting Jesus? Mm-hmm. Jesus picks the ear up, throws it back on the guy's head, fully healed, and the guy still arrests Jesus.
Then Jesus said to him, put your sword back into its place, for all who take the sword will perish by the sword. Do you think that I cannot appeal to my Father, and he will at once send me more than 12 legions of angels?
Yeah. And then he says,
so 54, we'll go down to 54.
Oh, yeah.
But how then should the scriptures be fulfilled?
Yeah.
That it may be so.
So this is the author's, Matt writes, author's translation. Don't you know at any moment I could call to my Father and have at my disposal 12 legions of angels? No one's taking my life from me. I'm laying it down. So what is a life of humility based on? A life of humility is based on the cross of Jesus Christ, which tells us that Jesus could have chosen to do none of it, but decided to endure all of it. There's more I want to read, but, well, actually, we'll come back to that.